Okay. Okay, so we're going to take just a moment to center with a breath practice. So if you need to adjust or kind of get more comfortable into your chair, just take a moment to do that. In many ways, when we practice yoga in a class, we focus on many of the physical things in our body. And there's a way in which our body is a whole body or a whole being. And even in that wholeness, there are different layers or ways in which we can connect to the body. And so we can connect to the physical self, right? Muscle, bones, tissues. When we think about these areas, that can be something like you notice where, like if you've done a workout or weightlifting, how you can be very aware of the muscles or soreness, or if you have some type of pain in the body, that is also another way you can connect to your physical self. Another way that you can connect to your body is through the breath. And so, unfortunately, when the breath is compromised, we're very aware of breath or the limited part of the breath. But breath is this layer that also is connected to energy. So, the energy in our body, when we have a limited faculty of breath, it can also feel like our energy is low. And so, this is also just another way to acknowledge when we come into a mindful practice, how is my energy today, or how is my breath? Another way to connect, or another layer that we have, is what I like to think of as the wisdom body. You can think about the states in which, even during the centering practice, like where is your mind? Is it focusing on these physical aspects, these breath aspects, and even in this moment, our mind aspects? But the mind has a really good way of also thinking of other things and spaces. It could be to-do lists. Um, it could be things that have happened already this morning that you replay in your mind, or things you have to do today, right? We always have our mind being able to facilitate or navigate that ability in many different ways. So our mind space is another way we can connect to our wholeness by going in on a specific layer. Also connected to our emotional space or our mind space is our emotional sense of being. So if you have arrived onto class, and you might notice just where you're at as far as, do you feel happy? Do you feel energized? Do you feel sad? Do you feel joyful? Right? There's all these different ways in which you can show up on your mat to practice. And just going through or calling out these specific layers as we take time to center, you might have thought, like, yes, that is how I connect to my body. I can definitely tell you how I feel. I can definitely tell you where my mind's at. I can tell you how my breath is. I can tell you how my body feels. One of those might have landed or resonated with you just a little bit more than some of the others. And I think that that's a way to know your path into practice. And so oftentimes with centering, we focus primarily on the breath, but maybe there are other ways in which you can start to arrive into being. Maybe it's something you notice about your body. Maybe it's something you notice about how your mind is processing things, or emotional space. So after you've maybe noticed what that is for you, we're going to finish with that wholeness once again, knowing that all these layers are interwoven and not one is more important than the other. Just what makes us us is going to sometimes help us learn a way in, right? What layer do we connect to or identify with the easiest? And then if you could imagine that all of these are layers, but you want to connect all of the layers, let's just take 2 more moments with some nice full breath in and full breath out. And then we'll start to shift towards some movement. So, one of the things that can help with how we get into neck and shoulder area is that we start out posturally in a good space to move through the neck. And so, you might just start with the shoulders. And I think of shoulder rolls as being a nice thing to do. You could circle through the shoulders. You could do things like feel a sense of swimming with those shoulders. You can reverse that swim if you'd like. You can draw the shoulders tight up towards the ears and then let them drop. And then finally, just specifically instead of circles, bring the shoulders forward and glide them back a few times. So, a lot of times when we track the shoulders back, you might notice that you might have had them slightly forward as a habit or just kind of how we naturally sit. And I would invite that most of us need a little bit of drawing the shoulders back to be in a neutral position. So if holding here feels okay, now we're going to come into just feeling into specifically the throat. So I'll invite you first just to tip your chin slightly to the horizon. So you're opening up through the throat muscles. You might breathe into the space. What's nice about focusing on breath in the throat is you can feel the coolness of the air as it comes into your body and the warmth after everything's circulated around the body and exhales. So, coolness on the inhale, warmth on the exhale. And now we'll go ahead and stretch the back of the neck by drawing the chin down towards the chest. And so hopefully now what you feel is space to the back of the neck. But here's a little nuanced thing. Notice if your shoulders rolled forward, can you have them gently back still? Or can you soften the shoulders to get more opening to the neck? There's a lot of correlation between that. So sometimes when we do things with the neck, the shoulders try to take over. So chin towards the chest, shoulders relaxed. Go ahead and lift your chin when you're ready. And then we're going to go ahead and start out on the right side. This is kind of a sequence of things for the neck. And you can go ahead and bring the hand out to the side. I like to think of this almost like a little W, right? You could do cactus arm as well. And you do want to have the hand relatively active. So the fingers should be spread quite a bit for a moment. Again, notice where your shoulder is in a space. Do you need to maybe glide that shoulder a little bit back? Yeah, nice adjustment. And then from here, you're going to go ahead and ball or make a fist with the hand. And then you're going to fold the fist. So almost like you're trying to show off a bicep, right? From there, here's kind of the weird one. We're going to turn that fist away from us. I think the show was Hee Haw. I always remember the guy going do 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 do. That's the only reason why I know that's the only thing I think of when I do this with my wrist. But yeah, turn the fist away from the body. So you might already feel or notice something along the neck. If not, that's okay. But we're gonna go ahead now and turn our head to face the fist. You want to relax the opposite shoulder. And then go ahead and tip your chin down towards the chest. Relax the opposite shoulder. The other arm can just be dangling. And then now, almost like your chin is has its own way to be an artist on canvas. We're going to imagine that we're going to draw a rainbow or a U. You're going to start to lift your chin up. You're going to pass through or arc through center and then arc down towards the other side. You're going to turn the fist back in towards the body. You're going to open up the fingers and extend the wrist or lengthen the wrist. And then you're going to let that right hand or that first hand drop. And then go ahead and only do a half arc with the chin now. So you're going to lift the chin up, come to center this time, and then bring your head back to center. Whew. Okay, so seems like kind of a weird series of events, right? But maybe just test this out. Look left and right. See if there's a difference between the left and right side of your shoulder and your muscles. What's interesting about only doing one side is I think it just kind of feels weird. Not necessarily that like, oh, this side's way more open or way more closed than the other. It just feels like, huh, something's different. So hopefully it's okay if it's not a big difference for you, but just notice that. Now go ahead and draw the shoulders all the way forward, glide them back, do some shoulder circles and swims. And again, we want to think about gliding the shoulders forward, gliding the shoulders back. Now we're going to do that similar kind of sequence on the other side. So you're going to start out with the hand out to the side, elbow is bent here, and fingers are actively spread wide for a moment. Just take in how the shoulders feel. Try to let them soften if they're a little tense. Sometimes we hold tension in the muscles we just don't even realize. So from there, you're going to go ahead and make that fist. So usually the fist is kind of facing your body. And then I want you to fold the fist in, right? So almost like you're showing off that bicep. From there, you're going to spin the wrist out. The do. Yep. And then go ahead and now turn your head to face the fist. Relax the other shoulder, soften the other side, dip your chin down towards your chest. Think about the rainbow that you're going to trace with your chin. So when you're ready, go ahead and arc the chin up through center and then over to the other side. From there, you're going to turn the fist back towards you. You're going to release the fist. You can relax the arm. And then one more time, a little half U or half rainbow. You're going to lift the chin up to center, and then you can lower your head here. And again, just kind of check how that feels. You might want to just do some turning of the head side to side. You can roll the shoulders. Now, like I said, sometimes we can do a whole bunch of stuff to the upper neck and then we forget about the back, but the back can get tight. So here, I just want you to come a little bit more to the front of your chair and then lean into the back of your chair. And from there, we're going to hug one knee in towards the belly. Now you can wrap over the top of the shin. I find actually underneath the thigh a little more comfortable. You could even draw the chin down if you want. You can curl the tailbone under here. You can release the first side, first leg. And let's do that on the other side. And then go ahead and release that foot down as well. Coming back to a nice tall spine. And then we're going to go ahead now and do one more neck thing. So I like to start out with this with the head tilt. So let's go ahead and tip the right ear towards the right shoulder. If you have something that you know you need to guard or protect, of course you can actively hold your head, but also if you know you don't have any known thing going on, notice if you are trying to hold your head up and really try to let your head and the weight of your head dangle over to the other side. It's okay if you do have to hold for something that you have going on. But if you don't have any known concern about your neck, just let the weight of your head go over to the side. From here, now you're going to go ahead and take your left hand out to the side. And you might notice that you get a stretch from the left side of that shoulder or left side of that neck all the way down the length of the arms. And then just start to treat that almost like a radio dial or tuner. You can rotate your wrist and see how that feels for your neck. You can lift the arm up, you can lift the arm down, you can come forward or back. Somewhere you're going to start to feel more of a stretch, but what you want it to be is a good stretch. There are also territories that you can get into that might feel like strain or pull. And then still let the weight of your head dangle over to the other side. And if the arm just isn't doing anything for you, you can, of course, let it rest. We're going to stay here for about 3 more breaths. Now go ahead and take your right hand underneath your head and use the effort of your hand to pick your head back up to center. And of course, now you can relax that other arm. Once your head's back up to center, again, you might move your head and neck around a little bit, but again, there's always that weird, like I said, it's not that I think in other places of my body I can like notice like, wow, I did a lot left to right. But on the neck, it just feels weird. Like, yeah, something happened, but I don't know if it's a left or right thing. Not one side is more open than the other. I think it's because all of these muscles are actually kind of woven and kind of diagonal. So when we stretch the neck, I think there's just like a imbalance almost because we've only done one side. So that being said, let's go ahead and just balance it out. Let's go ahead and sit tall, shoulders slightly back, and then start to tip left ear towards left shoulder. You're just gonna get to the space where your head feels comfortable, allowing the weight of your head over to the side, unless you have to actively hold your head in a particular way to protect something in your back. Sometimes you can notice the relationship with that opposite shoulder, right? So we're tipped to the left. Maybe your right shoulder feels like it tried to go with it. Try to let the shoulder stay relaxed or at least let it rest down. And so you might even notice, I find the neck muscles are kind of rubber band like in quality. So it's just like usually they start somewhere but it just takes time for them to lengthen, right? If you go too fast with a rubber band, it snaps. You don't want that to happen in your neck muscles. Not that that's how they really work, but I just think that they take longer to open up. And so I like that idea of how the rubber band slowly stretches, unless you go too fast, right? Now we're going to add on that dial, right? You can start to extend the arm out and exploring where you get kind of the best stretch. So that might be that you lift the arm up a little higher. You might bring it down. You might come forward or back. And, almost like I said, like a fine tune on a radio dial. I guess we don't really have those anymore, but this idea of you're going to find the space that all of a sudden opens things up or gives you a better stretch. Again, you're not trying to pull on things in the neck, but hopefully you find stretch and it might take you a while. And your arm can end up really anywhere. And then you just kind of want to note that the head didn't try to hold itself up while you're figuring that out. Let the weight of your head be heavy over to the other side. If the arm isn't serving you in any way, just let the arm fall. Now take your left hand underneath the side of your head and make sure that your hand does more effort to pick your head back up to center. And then of course you can let that other arm relax. And then now once up, maybe test this out. So I find this practice is, I call this like the looking behind the driver's wheel to get open because I find that's what that one does. So again, you can kind of roll the shoulders, you can shake them out. And then we're going to do the whole spine. We're going to come into seated cow and cat pose. So I recommend if you're a little bit more to the back of the chair, coming a little bit more forward. Cow and cat pose. I'll just turn to the side because I think it's hard to see what I'm doing straight on. Cow cat pose is curling and lifting the spine. So, and I like to add the arms just as a little extra emphasis. So you can play around with it. So, cat pose, you're going to tuck the tailbone under, you're going to round the shoulders forward. You might even bring the chin in. And it's almost like you're hugging a big beach ball in front of you. And then cow pose, you can start to lift the heart, arc the spine. You can wing those arms back. And then you're going to start to smooth that motion. So you're going to curl and round, you're going to arc and lift. And you can really get into all these different spaces. You don't have to go straight up and down. You might roll around to the sides a little bit more. You might find a particular place that needs spinal movement more than others. Do this for a couple more breaths. And then you can come back to a straight spine. Just pause here for a moment. Maybe even note how your vertebra feel or your spinal column feels from the top of your head to your tailbone. If you need any tension release, particularly for the low back, what I invite you to do is now round forward, coming into a seated forward fold. You can always have the hands on the thighs if you need to, or you're going to rest or dangle the whole upper body. Then let's slowly start to roll up, back up to a tall spine. We're going to do a few warrior postures just in a moment, but just one more thing, and everybody's chair is a little different. So I hope this works out on the chairs you're at. I'm going to recommend that you reach back for the chair, or some of you, it might make sense to bring your hands to the seat of the chair. And if you can, hold on to the hardware. Now, if there's nothing to grab onto, you're going to imagine that you're like an airplane. You're going to wing those arms back and they don't have to touch anything, right? But if you can get a hold of some part of the metal or whatever part on your chair that's there, just like we've been doing, you're going to think shoulders down, and then you're going to gently lift up with the heart. Remember, the chin is not the heart, even though it's going to want to say it is, right? Your chin's going to stay in line, or your gaze is going to stay somewhat neutral, and I want you to lift up through the heart. Soften the shoulders down your back. Take 2 breaths here. And then let's go ahead and release the hold or the winging out. You're going to bring those arms around. If you do feel like you need a little kind of shakeout from that, that's going to be a pretty intense one. You can roll the shoulders. If you need it more for the lower back, this is where a nice forward fold is going to feel good. And go ahead and take yourself into a forward fold. Bring the feet wider if you run out of space for your body. And then from that forward fold, let's go ahead and roll back up. Going back up to a tall spine. And now when we do things with the legs, like our warrior postures, it may not seem like where the hips sit matter for the upper body, but it can actually impact that a lot. So we're going to play a little bit more in detail about alignment when we come into our high crescent lunge. So if you're doing this seated, you can stay seated in the chair. I'm going to have you sweep your right thigh over to the side of the chair, but this is where then you want to take that other knee and kind of have it face the same direction. Now you can pick up your foot to get the shape that you'd want, and you might even step a little further back. So you might want to feel, or you might feel stretch to that back leg. Now notice where your hips are in space. I kind of like the feedback of the chair for this. If you curled your tailbone under or untucked your tailbone, right, this is rocking on the pelvis. One of these is going to give you more space to the low back. So find, even if it's a different shape than what you usually practice this with, consider tucking the tailbone under or untucking the tailbone. We're looking for tailbone down as an alignment, but sometimes we don't know where that is in our own body. So, and then shoulders back. Hands can come to heart center, or if that doesn't allow you to do shoulders back, do cactus arms here. Let's take one more breath in crescent warrior. And then go ahead and relax the arms, relax the legs, and we'll swing all the way back around to the front. You can kind of articulate or undulate through the spine, or a forward fold might feel nice after that. And again, these are things that can impact through the whole chain of the body. So you might feel that some stuff in the low back. Like I said, we're doing a lot of movement through the spine today. We might be in, you might feel it in the neck and shoulder area. So just being mindful to give those things space in between. And then let's go ahead and roll up. When you're ready, we're going to do that other side. So again, this is swinging left thigh over the side of the chair, and then you want both knees kind of facing that same direction. So you might have to reposition that foot. You're going to particularly explore rocking forward and back on your tailbone, tucking and untucking the tailbone, trying to find tailbone down. And that might even impact the stretch of your leg a little bit. From there, keeping space to the upper body, you might do something like cactus arms or shoulders back and hands to heart center. Take one more inhale here. Exhale, you can relax the arms. You can return the legs back to center, swiveling back around to the front. And one more time, just some nice releases for the body, which might be a forward fold for a few breaths. It might be sitting tall and just kind of moving through the spine. Lots of options. Then rolling back up to a tall spine, you're already there. Sorry. um, from here, we're going to come into warrior two. So if you're doing warrior two seated, that is swinging the thigh over to the side. Now this time the other knee stays forward, and you're reaching the arms front to back. If you want to do that as a standing posture, you're going to come up to standing. And you can set up so that you're behind the chair. You're going to step your legs about outer hip width apart, wider if that's comfortable. You're going to go ahead and turn the right toes out to the side and bend into that knee. Good. And then with the upper body warrior two arms, imagine that you're going to be genie arms for a moment, right? Stack one hand on top of the other. And then I always think of it like a karate chop. So you're going to open up those arms front to back like we usually do for warrior two. And then you're going to bring the stack again and then open up the arms. And you can do that quite actively. Like I said, you can think of it as like a karate chop, right? And then come back. You can keep alternating which arm comes on top of the other, opening up and then switch, opening up and switch, opening up Switch, one more. Opening up and hold. And turn both palms up. From here, let's bring it into Goddess Warrior. So you're going to take the front palm and send it up to the sky and back. That back hand can either hold to the back of the leg or the chair. Legs stay the same here. And then we're going to open through to Warrior 2. And Warrior 2 coming back to extended side angle. So that's forearm to the front thigh. And using core strength, let's rise back up, Warrior 2. You can go ahead now and relax those arms. You can extend the front leg, spin the feet back to the same way, and step those feet together for mountain pose. Mountain pose, inhale, reach the arms up to the sky for high mountain pose. And then exhale, take a forward fold. And you can breathe into your back here. From that forward fold, let's go ahead and roll back up. And let's set up Warrior 2 to the other side. So stepping the feet wide, spinning the left toes out to the side and bending into that knee. So we got the frame or base. You might even explore where your hips are in space. It's kind of hard to think about tailbone down or tucking and untucking the tailbone here, but because the legs are kind of in two different directions and angles. But if you get a sense of it, just maybe explore where tailbone down is for you, and then you can open up those arms front to back. Good. With this one, we're going to reach beyond, right? Like the first one, we went GD arms, but here you're going to do Warrior 2 and then glide back and forward and track it back and in line and wing it back and in line and wing it back and in line. Good. Flip both palms up to the sky. See how those shoulders rest on the back of your back line, and then relax through the neck, the throat, the shoulders. Let's go ahead and bring this into Goddess Warrior. So you're going to reach that front arm up and back, and the back hand can rest. Coming back to Warrior 2 and then coming forward into extended side angle. And then coming back up, Warrior 2. Warrior 2, you can relax those arms. You can straighten that front leg, spin the feet back around to the front and step those feet together. You can shake out the feet if you need to. You can do a forward fold here if you need to. And then I do want to take a balance posture today. And for those of you that are live with me, we're all standing. So I'm just going to demonstrate that. But there is a way to do this seated too. But yeah, so I'm going to assume I'm the only one who has a yoga chair who has like this cutout and no back to my back of my chair. If you do have that, you can keep the back of your chair towards you, but otherwise you want to set yourself up to the seat of the chair. We're going to do hand to knee pose. And here are the different variations of it. With no chair, no support, or you can hold on to the wall or a chair. You're going to hold out, say you're going to stand on your right leg, you're going to hold your left hand out and you're going to bring your left knee up to the hand. And then the key is that you're going to push down on that knee and lift the knee up as if you're trying to do a tug of war game. With the chair, you get another isometric to this, which I think is really nice. So if you have that seat of the chair, you're going to bring one foot onto the chair, still going to place your hand onto that knee, and then you're going to use the chair as leverage. So you're pressing your foot into the chair, you're pushing the top hand into your thigh, and then you're going to let your thigh push up into that chair, right? So now you can, when you push down into something, it's almost like it helps you lift up. So it's that sort of momentum. So we're creating an isometric. It should feel like a lot of the muscles are doing a lot of things. The other hand, you can have it out for balance. You could hold on to the chair, or you could reach it up to the sky. This is called hand to knee pose. You really want to feel the work, right? With the chair here, you could relax all the muscles, right? But we're really going for pushing the foot down into the chair, pushing the hand down into the thigh, and then having the knee drive up into the hand, right? So it's a little bit of like push, pull in the body, but you do want to activate a lot of your muscles here. I'm going to do one more in hand to knee pose on this side. And then let's go ahead and lower the foot down. Just take a moment to see how you feel side to side. And again, I did that comparison a little bit with the neck muscles, but usually in the body or the longer uh, muscles in the legs, you might sometimes feel like, oh, I just screw a little bit on one side. So maybe just notice how that feels in your body, notice how the muscles feel. And hand to knee pose, you do want your spine nice and long. So as we set up the other side, you're going to think about that. You can always hold on to the chair if it feels like a lot to get the foot up to the chair, right? And then hand onto thigh, foot drives down or pushes into the chair like you're about ready to step up on it. Of course, we're not going to do that. Thigh comes into hand, hand pushes down into thigh. The other hand can be out as a balance or counterpoint, or you're reaching it up to the sky. Nice long spine here. Work those muscles. Notice if your glute muscles are working, your hamstrings, right? All of the leg muscles should be involved here. Belly muscles could be online too. You're drawing your abdomen in. We're going to hold this for 2 more breaths. Then if that arm is overhead, you're going to go ahead and lower it. You're going to relax all of that work happening in on that standing or the hand to knee leg. And then hopefully you're the same height side to side. Hopefully your back feels okay. Yeah, hand to knee pose. I thought that would be a good one for our group today. So, and then when you're ready to move on, you can find your way back down to the seat of your chair. And just taking a moment of pause and practice to see how you feel. Again, we started out with like understanding the different layers and ways we tap into our body, whether it's the physical body, the energy body or breath, or the mind body and the emotional states. So, whatever you kind of connected to earlier, maybe use that as a tool to check in with yourself. How is my body feeling? How is my breath? How is my mind, or where is my mind? How am I feeling? Answering just one of those questions, the easiest path in. Notice what you notice. And then when you're ready to move on, right, you can blink the eyes if you close them for a moment. You're going to go ahead and bring your hands to your waist. And we're almost gonna be like the I'm a little teapot. So go ahead and bring your right hand out or away from the waist and turn the palm out. Now, if you do want to make the spout, that is totally fine, doesn't matter. But we're going to have the hand away from the body. And then from there, we're actually going to do a crescent bend. So you're going to tilt to that side. So we actually literally are pouring ourselves out. um, you're going to take just a couple breaths. So you really want to focus on the length you're creating on this side. Make sure that that shoulder feels back, that the neck feels soft. You're going to take one more breath here and then come back up. You can relax the hands for a moment. You can roll those shoulders. And we're going to do that on the other side. So again, you can start out with the hands at the waist. You're going to create a little teapot or a spout on the left hand this time. So hand turns away from the body, or again, like I said, no problem if you want to create a little spout for your teapot. And then we're going to go ahead and tilt to that side, creating a nice long side body on the right, or on the opposite side, the handle side. Take a breath or two here, soften through the shoulders, soften through the neck. Use core strength to pull yourself back up. You can relax the hands. You might want to roll the shoulders, or if you're feeling this more to the low back, take a nice forward fold. Uh, take about 3 breaths, just doing any care things that you need for yourself, releasing tensions. Now, about the only thing we really didn't do with the spine, right? Because we did do side to side, we did a lot of forward and back, is we haven't done a lot of rotation. So that's where I'd like to end our practice today, is with a spinal twist. So, spinal twist, you want to sit nice and tall in the chair. And again, just kind of thinking about that posturally, you want to have the belly muscle slightly engaged. You want to have a sense of your tailbone being down, and then those shoulders slightly back if you need that reminder. And then from there, you're going to take an inhale, exhale, you're going to rotate over to the right. You can bring your left hand over to the right thigh, or you're going to press the inside of that left thigh. You can send your gaze to the right. Soften through the shoulders, soften through the throat here. Take one more inhale. Exhale, unwind. Right in between, go ahead and lengthen, tailbone down, belly strong, and then rotate to the other side. Take one more inhale. Exhale, unwind. You can do any last movement that you need. Otherwise, I invite you to just take a moment in Shavasana. We spent a lot of time thinking about the inner world of our body during this practice. And so, my invitation for you for Shavasana is to try to let it all just be. There's no right or wrong way to do Shavasana. You don't have to do anything posturally for your body, except for set yourself up into something that's comfortable. That might be leaning into the back of your chair. That might be resting your hands onto your thigh or across your abdomen, or just letting them dangle. You might just take a body scan. Are there any tensions in that space in between your eyebrows, along that jawline? Soften the jaw, relax the hips, relax the feet, and take just a couple moments here in final Shavasana. Know that you can stay at rest in Shavasana for as long as you need. You might have just found that one last moment to let everything go or be at ease in your body. You might have also taken an inward journey, and you're more than welcome to continue in that space for as long as you'd like. If you are in a space to start to bring your practice back to awakening or towards the end, you might start small, wiggling fingers and toes, maybe stretching out through the limbs. But again, you can do this in your own way and whatever feels right for you. I invite you to just take a moment to close out your own practice. That might be saying something like, thank you, body, or maybe there's some other way that you would like to lead into your day, setting an intention. Like, I am strong, or I have space. And then I'd like to offer closing in community with an Om. So you can bring hands to heart center if you're ready. Know that you can always join in with the Om with your voice or ears, however you'd like. We'll exhale, inhale, and then Om. So whenever you're ready, exhale out all the air in your body. Take a deep breath in. Om. The light and the peace and the joy within me. Honor and see that light, that peace, and that joy within you. Thank you for showing up for your practice. Thank you for joining me for this session and this class today. I hope that you will stay well and continue to heal. Namaste. All right, so I will
That
go
was
ahead and stop
great.
our
Thank you.
recording. You're welcome.